When my niece was really young, she was in a bouncer at my sister's house. I was home and babysitting. I had left her to go to the kitchen to grab some water. My sister's chocolate labs were probably sniffing and licking her head because I could hear her giggling like she was having a blast. I hadn't noticed how cold it had gotten. Then I heard it, a loud wooden snap, like a thick piece of wood had been snapped in half suddenly, or a tree was knocked over. I ran into the room, and what I saw and smelled freaked me out. The dogs were huddled in the corner, whimpering. My niece was just staring at the ceiling, in the corner with wide eyes, and it was cold and smelled like Stetson. I took her and we decided to go to a different room. When my sister finally came home, I told her what had happened. She just rolled her eyes and said, "That's Hugh." I was confused. She said Hugh was the previous owner of the house who had died 10 years prior to his wife selling the place. She said he likes to follow my niece around, and you can tell him it's him because the dogs freak, it gets cold and smells like cheap cologne. I don't believe in that shit, but I do believe that feeling you get in your gut when something just doesn't feel right. I used to volunteer at a nursing home where we had several instances where new residents accurately described former residents down to specific nightgowns or the colour of their glasses, who I and the staff knew had died in that room, and they used to complain about them coming into the room at night. Then, once, I was walking through the hallway, and it was normally uncomfortably warm inside, but I felt a chill and goosebumps raise on my arm. One of the CNAs said I'd just walked through a ghost. I couldn't get warm again for the rest of the day. There were flickering lights and TVs turning themselves on. Several of the staff were from the same Southeast Asian country, and they were talking about ghosts and disrespect for the dead so much that management had someone come in to do a candle-lit ceremony, and this lady with crystals and dreadlocks came in to do a sage brushing. Things seemed to calm down after that. Light stayed on better, and the residents seemed calmer overall. I was in my sophomore year of high school. I would usually get ready and then wait for my mother to drive me to school. While she was getting ready, I was just kind of hanging out in the bathroom with her while she was putting on makeup and curling her hair. She looked a little frazzled, and I asked if everything was okay. She told me about a weird occurrence the night before. She told me that she had been woken up at around 2 a.m. by a strange noise. It wasn't superly loud, but it was pretty constant. My dad wasn't woken up by it, though it's not surprising as he sleeps like a log. Anyway, she starts looking for the source of the noise, first checking the bathroom attached to their room, but there isn't anything in there. Next, she walks out into the hall and hears the noise from the bathroom nearby. When she walks in, she sees a hairdryer plugged in and turned on, just sitting in the middle of the bath mat on the floor. She, of course, thinks it's strange, but there are 4 kids living in the house, and she thought maybe someone had sleepwalked and turned it on, whatever. She unplugs it and puts it away. She goes back to bed and eventually falls asleep. About an hour later, she wakes up again and hears the same noise. She's kind of pissed off and goes to check it out again, except now the noise is from downstairs. She tracks it down into the guest bathroom in the main entry hall. My parents' house has about 4 bathrooms. She opens the door, and again there's a hairdryer turned on, laying in the middle of the floor. She's of course freaked out by this point, but she unplugs it and puts it away. She didn't get a great night's sleep after that. So she's telling me this story, and as soon as she comes to the conclusion, we both just freeze and turn our heads into the walk-in closet of her bathroom. As soon as we look in there, the entire light on the ceiling shatters. Not the light bulb, but the glass cover surround. It shatters, sending shards of glass everywhere. Well, we both freak and get the heck out. We didn't know what to make of it, but we haven't really had any experiences before or since, and none of my family have experienced anything either. I was a caretaker of a small uninhabited island off the coast of Maine, and my girlfriend and I started having synchronized nightmares about things that we had never discussed before. They involved very specific themes, and after a month of this happening, we were gifted a history book of the island that had a small chapter in the back that mentioned the exact hauntings. My mother was having dinner at a friend's house. It was a small old cottage that's been around for over 100 years. She tries to find the bathroom and pulls on a door that is locked. The friend sees and says, "Sorry, that goes down to the basement. The bathroom is over there." Thinking it is odd, my mother asks why the basement door is locked. "It's always locked. In fact, I don't even have a key for it," the real estate agent advised me not to go down there, as it's not been upgraded like the rest of the cottage. It's little more than a root cellar. Fast forward a few weeks when my mother, who works for the police department's community division, is working on a project about the history of the police department in the town. An old man comes in with news clippings about various community events, as well as a news clipping from the 50s about a gruesome murder. My mum was a bit taken aback. "Sorry, I forgot those clippings were in here too." No, I know this address. It's my friend's house." "What happened there?" "Oh," said the man. "Well, that used to be my mother's house. She had been dating this man who was cruel to her, beat her horribly. She tried again and again to break it off with him, but he'd always come back. Finally, my aunt moved in with us, and my mother finally broke up with him. He starts getting emotional, then one night he broke in and tied my mother, aunt, sister and brother up in the basement. He shot them all in front of my mother. Then he turned and shot her, and then killed himself, leaving a note that she would never leave him again. I was away at college." He started to sob.